Greetings fellow dungeon defenders, Jayla's here. This time what I wanted to do was basically depart as much of my dungeon defender knowledge as possible within like 5 or 6 minutes. The reason being, I'm actually not too sure how much longer I'm going to be playing Dungeon Defenders. I'm just not sure I like the way the game is headed, so I think I'll probably be playing quite a bit less, but I'll still try to throw up some videos from time to time. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into it. The first thing I want to talk about are heroes. Let's start with the Apprentice, as he was the first character I ever made. Basically, all you need to know is that the best thing about him is his overcharge ability. It's really useful because sometimes you only have a few seconds to heal something before it gets destroyed, and with overcharge on, that's all you need. Some people also DPS as Apprentice, but personally I think their HP ramp is so low, why wouldn't you just play a Huntress? Next, let's talk about the Squire. Pretty much the only reason you're going to play Squire is for DPS. There's really no place where you would use the Squire's tower over an Apprentice's, with the exception of his walls. Pretty much Squire, Blood Rage, DPS, that's really all you need to know. Now let's talk about the Huntress. The Huntress is probably the most versatile class right now because her traps are invaluable and she can also DPS really well. Granted, she can't DPS as well as she used to since they nerfed Hawkshot, but she can still put out a pretty good chunk of damage. Anyways, if you like to solo everything, or even if you don't, I definitely recommend leveling a Huntress. Finally, there's the Monk. Now, for a while, pretty much everyone was all about the DPS Monk, but ever since they nerfed his ranged damage, he's really not as viable for DPS over a Squire. However, pretty much every successful strategy for the most difficult maps is going to require Monk auras. Very rarely you're going to get by without Ensnare, and if you have walls, Strength Drain is pretty much a must. So what I want to talk to you guys about next is weapons and armor. I already made a video a while ago about the weapon and armor upgrade tips, but I'll give a review of what I think is important. So I'll show you two examples. First, let's take a look at my Countess. For her, I'm using a 77 upgraded weapon with basic damage maxed out. I'm using a Guardian pet because I usually solo, and you pretty much always want a Guardian in your group because he'll take your electric aura from like 800 DPS to like 2800. As for armor, I always max out physical and fire resistance for survivability, and the rest of the points into hero damage. I don't put points into electric or poison because you don't need electric unless you're going to PvP, and the only thing that hits with poison is ogres, not rocket, which is relatively easy to dodge. I put as many stats into hero health and hero damage as I can, and then the rest into blood rage. So for my tower character, let's look at my Monk. The most important stats are going to be aura health and aura damage. Aura radius I think is fine at around 100, same with aura speed. I just don't really see that huge of a difference when I put more points to them than versus health or damage. I build my tower characters pure, so the weapon is all for tower, all the armors are as well, and the pet too. If this is your only character, I wouldn't really recommend doing that though until you have a DPS, otherwise it'd be pretty boring. Alright, so now I'm going to show you guys how to set up for almost every map. In almost every scenario, all you need is an Aura Monk, a Trap Huntress, and then either a full tower HP Apprentice or Squire. You throw up the Electric and Ensnare Aura, then you switch to Huntress and you throw up your Proximity Mine Trap, a Gas Trap, which is sometimes optional, and then an Inferno Trap. Unless an Ogre is coming through the lane, you don't need walls because nothing's going to get through that. If there is an Ogre though, then you just throw up the walls, and you'll probably want a Strength Drain Aura as well, and that's pretty much the setup you want for just about every choke point in every map. Not much more to say about it really. Lastly, I've just got a couple quick tips on XP and mana for you. If you're going to grind out to 74, then the quickest way to do it is just run Insane Glitter Helm over and over. Gets you about 1,000,000 XP per run, and it's really as simple as that. It'll also get you a nice little chunk of mana, but if you have access to Nightmare, I also noticed some of the higher level maps will also drop Mythical, which you can either sell to other players or just vendor off for a pretty decent amount. And that's about it. I can't really think of anything else to tell you, but if you have any other questions, let me know and I'll do my best to answer them. I hope this video helped you guys out, and until next we meet, fare thee well.